Hello and welcome. This is my 2019 Specialized Rockhopper, which I bought new. In the 3 years that I have owned this bike, I have totally transformed it through upgrades. In this video, I'm going to review the 6 upgrades I made and one which I have not. But first, a quick history of this bike. In November of 2019, I went to my local bike shop to order a new wheel for one of my road bikes. I saw this really bright green mountain bike sitting way back in a corner, all lonely and such. Well, I made it about a mile from the shop before I turned around, went back, and bought that Rockhopper for $560. And I freely admit that this was completely an impulse purchase, although one that I have never regretted. I rode the bike in mostly stock form through the end of the 2020 season, and I loved every mile that I put on it. The following season, I began the upgrading process. In order of least impact to most, in my entirely unscientific opinion, here are the upgrades. Number 6, contact points. I'm currently on my 3rd saddle, counting the stock one, which was okay, but not great. The current saddle is a WTB Coda, which I like for its relatively deep anatomical relief channel. Enough said. The very first upgrade on this bike was the Rock Bros resin pedals, which honestly are copies of Raceface Chesters, but at about half the cost. I'm still running them, and they have been completely trouble-free. I've had a series of grips on this bike. Rock Bros lock-ons, ESI super chunky silicone grips, which really are good for wrist pain, and my current favorite grips, Uri lock-ons. I think the Uris are an outstanding value for $30. Number 5, Handlebar and Stem. The easiest upgrades may very well have low impact, but that doesn't mean that they are not worthwhile. I replaced the stock 690mm stout alloy handlebar with a 720mm Wake aluminum handlebar. However, that got damaged, so I installed a 760mm Entity alloy bar left over from upgrading my Polygon Siskiyou. I also replaced the stock 90mm alloy stem with a 45mm Wake stem, which reduced the reach and gave me a much more upright riding posture. So why do this? Well, basically the upright posture is a lot more comfortable for me, and a shorter stem and a wider bar combo give you a lot more leverage for turning. Number 4, hydraulic brakes. My most recent upgrade was the addition of hydraulic brakes. Now, I can understand if you wonder why this didn't rate higher. Well, while the hydraulic brakes certainly are a vast improvement over the stock cable-operated brakes, they weren't quite as much the game-changing thing for me as the remaining 3 upgrades are. I got a set of Tektro Vela pre-bled brakes and enlisted the help of my local bike shop to get the rear brake set up because of poor planning on my part. And yes, the improvement was amazing. Can't deny that. And as an aside, I really appreciate that Specialized used contoured internal cable ports on the down tube and a wide exit port under the bottom bracket, instead of those fiddly rubber bungs that other brands use that just make running cables and hoses a pain in the hindmost. Number 3, 1x9 drivetrain. The Rockhopper came stock with a Shimano 3x8 drivetrain, with an Alivio front derailleur, a Tourney rear derailleur, a riveted Tourney 3-speed crankset, an 8-speed cassette, and a set of Easy-Fire combo brake and shifter units. I replaced those with an IXF Holotech style crankset and a Snail 32-tooth narrow-wide chainring, an Altus rear derailleur, Altus trigger shifter, Avid alloy brake levers, since replaced by the previously mentioned hydraulic brakes, and a Sunrace 11 to 40 tooth 9-speed cassette. Converting to a 1x9 with a 40 tooth low gear made the climbing so much easier that I could hardly believe it at the time. Definitely a worthwhile investment. Number 2, air fork. The second best upgrade, in my opinion, was still a pretty good one. I replaced the stock SR Suntour XCT spring fork with a Rockshox Judy Silver TK air fork. Not only does the air fork have a lockout and rebound adjustment, it saved a little more than 100 grams of weight. Although, I must be honest here, I didn't keep track of weight at the time, so I had to look that up online for this. The new fork just feels so much less harsh, and the overall ride quality improved tremendously. For just $169 at the time, this upgrade was really hard to beat. The upgrade not made. Before we get to my number 1 upgrade, I want to mention the upgrade I have not made. Tubeless tires. Yep, I'm still running old-fashioned inner tubes in my wheels. Although the wheels are still the stock double wall units, last summer I replaced the worn-out stock tires with a pair of Schwalbe Rapid Robs. Now, since tires are a wear item, I didn't think of this as an upgrade in the strictest sense. All that said, I may give tubeless a try this coming summer, since I can always go back to inner tubes in a worst case scenario. Number 1, Dropper Post. Now we come to the upgrade that I feel gave me the most bang for the buck. A Dropper Post. The Rockhopper came with a conventional rigid seat post and quick release lever, as so many bikes do. And I rode that as is, or as was, for the first season that I owned the bike. It was okay, but I was sure it could be better, based upon what I had read and seen. So, come spring, I got a KS eTENi external dropper post. And why that particular post? Honestly, it was a combination of price and perceived ease of installation. And I ran this dropper for the rest of the season, but I eventually upgraded my upgrade. I went and got myself a KS eTENi internal dropper post, which was super easy to install and looks so much better with the hidden cable. And I can honestly say that having ridden this bike both without and with a dropper post, the dropper is a genuine game changer. I no longer have to run the seat height in a compromised position as I did with the stock post. And that means I can climb with my legs at an optimal extension, getting the most power, such as I have, and descend with the saddle completely out of the way of my nether regions. Seriously, if your bike lacks a dropper post, I can't recommend highly enough that you get one. Feel free to drop me a line in the comments if you have any questions. Below left is a link to the Rockhopper's playlist, including my first look. Below right is a link to another video that I think you will enjoy. And as always, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate that. Goodbye and have a great day.